Awesome. Hey, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
No worries.
Obviously, a lot of our members are anxious, have questions, and I want to make sure that I don't misrepresent anything as far as what I know.
Okay.
So if you don't mind, I'm gonna let you know what my take was from that night, Thursday hearing, and then I'm sure Dirk will ask some questions of his own. So my understanding was that hearing was for the 8 tennis courts, no pickleball courts, and but said that, however, I think it's very clear that everyone knows, including the managing owner, the co-owners, the whole city and our members, that we intend to have pickleball courts once this project ever gets approved. But it has a long ways of getting approved because they're still going to litigation and both sides don't even agree on the same plan. I mean, some say this will never happen. But if this all goes through council, my understanding is that we do have an opportunity, myself, to get pickleball courts out there, but it would also depend on you guys having a process in place for pickleball courts, and then we would follow your process. And that's what I understand.
No, go ahead.
And from what we understood is that right now there's no process, and because there's no adopted process or many processes out there, probably the managing owner did it this way to just move it forward, but we don't. We're just making speculations. But regardless, we are for this project way more than apartment buildings, and we just want to preserve our club with pickleball courts. And we're also, when I came to the city over 2 years ago, and I inquired about pickleball courts, they told me there's no further permission needed for me to get for pickleball courts, and it is a racket sport, so go ahead and do it. So for the existing courts that we have now, pickleball, I'm assuming that for those courts we will not have any sort of special permission needed in the future. But please let me know if I misunderstood that. So those are my questions.
Yeah, and I see that. And as far as back in terms of the tennis courts, yeah, I mean, when we approved something, it was specifically mentioned tennis courts, and I think that's what Curtis was trying to let everyone know. Says, hey, I know where that's pickleball's going. That's obviously it seems like it's the goal, especially of the membership. But at least in terms of the approval, was just tennis courts. And from what I understand from the staff, it's not because it's not they didn't want to put pickleball in there. It was just there was no process yet, or at least there was no kind of definition of how that equates to. So I think it's just to be determined type of, specific carve out as a sport or something like that. I'm not 100% sure how they're going to do that. But I think as of now, it really doesn't affect anything. It doesn't, affect anything on what you guys are doing. And like you said, I mean, it's just obviously up to the courts and all of that, and what the parties decide to do in terms of their litigation. However long or soon if they get that over with, it really doesn't affect anything until there's agreement. But one thing I do know, we're working in an industry, when you get a map, which your final map to build is your final plan, to get that all linked on our side. So it just seems to me that everyone's going to have to be in agreement before anything moves forward. And who knows how long that is until that happens. So, but as you're saying, I don't really think anything changes right now for the foreseeable future until when and if they come to agreement and they believe that that we're going to go ahead and go with the plan that we just approved the last week. I think that was one reason why they just wanted that long 10-year kind of timeline to build. So I think they probably are factoring, unfortunately, a lot of litigations. And that's just speculation on my part, but that's what it kind of seems like.
Right.
So I don't think it's anything. Hey, we're not against pickleball or it's anything outside of hey, it's different than tennis, or at least the courts are a little bit different. So it's not really spelled out now, but maybe when it comes back or whatnot, when they ask for the official, there may be some type of definition of what pickleball is, and I think really that's all that amounts to more than anything really.
Okay, so Leah, again, unfortunately, we've got a little scuttlebutt over here at the club, and that's why I'm sitting here with Sean, and you know, I don't know what people's intentions are, or I'm not too involved in all the little political camps here at the community, but unequivocally, any action that was taken last week by the council, in no way did it in any way slam the door on the intent for there never to be pickleball allowed.
Yeah, no, not at all, not at all. So that's not all. I think all Curtis wanted to do, I think probably that, my thoughts are probably what Curtis said at the end is maybe what had some people concerned. And I think it's just, basically, I think he just wanted, because he knows what everyone pickleball, I think he wanted to let everyone know that, hey, there's no definition for pickleball now, so this says tennis court. So, and obviously the town staff had said, or the city staff had said, we're gonna work on that in terms of getting that definition. And so that was, I think that having talked to Curtis in detail about it, I think that's probably what he meant. So, and unfortunately, probably had a ripple effect to the membership. It sounds like.
Yeah. Okay. So, and again, I understand by definition, and I understand that, you know, we'll have to do some studying on our parking issues, etc. But in no way is there going to be some issue between, you know, this is a private entity and putting these bungalows by a pickleball court, and the way the design comes out, the city's, they're not going to really go that deep into this as long as we've got the basic parameters of this is where some sort of court opportunity for people to play with either a plastic ball or a fuzzy ball, and that's that.
Right. I mean, zoning wise and within the general plan, as you know, you're recreational, you know, zoning for part of it, so that's not something that can be just changed easily. It has to go through a long process, and that's what the town and government is in. The jurisdiction I work in Colorado, they're called towns, so I give a flip-flop, but the city, I mean, it would, you know, when the next general plan comes up, then that would be a chance for changing. But I don't see that happening, and I think that you know, this, I guess you could say the vibe, I guess you could say, I pick up from most of the town or the city is that people want to have recreational facilities and want to keep that in the general plan. Like I said the other night, we just can't have, you know, housing, and nothing else in the city. It doesn't make it a place to be, although we know how important housing is.
Right.
It can't be, and to rezone from where we're currently at, you know, as a recreational facility, to say, I think there's been some talk about all being apartments. That just can't happen without some monumental process.
Right.
So I think everyone is pretty safe now, at least in terms of the people that don't want to see that happen, unless there's some big change within the city voters over the next few years before the general plan comes, and they want more housing, which I kind of doubt. So I think this is me speaking forecasted, I guess you could say. I just don't see that happening. I would think it's probably going to stay its current zoning designation as recreational.
I think our membership everyone was so pleased when that other plan was shut down with the hundreds of apartment buildings. That was really a main concern and a lot of anxiety built for that. So that was really a blessing. And I can also tell you that the last couple of days, we just found out that there is a petition that's been circulating, and unfortunately, there's non-factual information in there. It basically states that the landlord wants to wipe out the club for a hotel, which in fact, you know, it's not wipe out the whole club. It's preserving, you know, X amount of courts and then having a hotel. And then there's also more anonymous accounts being built on Instagram, and someone made a comment that the managing owner was reprimanded by planning commission at the planning commission hearing, which I don't recall it being that way.
I don't remember that. I was there. I don't remember it, so I don't remember it at all. So yeah, I didn't see that. Yeah, I just, sometimes people on these Instagrams and Facebooks and all those worlds, they just, people, the First Amendment, I guess, they can write what they want to write, or at least their thoughts, and unfortunately, sometimes maybe that kind of information, spreads out that isn't the truth. But at least in all of my conversations with Mr. O'Hill, I mean, everything that he showed on there is what they were, their long term, fits into with their long term goals to kind of keep both, or to be able to keep the tennis / pickleball in place to the degree, and then be able to have some type of smaller hotel factor and a few condos and homes there as well. So.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I've done on my side is I have a contractual agreement today with the Irvine company for additional parking spots.
Yeah, that should alleviate a lot of any of those concerns on parking. That should be a big help on alleviating those concerns.
Absolutely, and then I think with Granville's concern for noise, 60% of the courts that are behind Granville, those will be eliminated with the new hotel rooms. So that will eliminate 60% of the noise right there. And I've already started the process of eliminating camps that are before and after our big events to also eliminate some of the traffic issues for our neighbors.
Yeah. I'm sure that'd be very helpful, but I think, like you said, I remember you had mentioned that you were working with Urban Company, or you're pretty close, but I thought that would be a big relief valve, if you will, for any type of maybe parking issues for these larger type of events, which are pretty neat. You're bringing to Newport Beach. I think that's all a plus, and some of the few growing pains you have with that, parking being one, it looks like you'll be able to make the residents happy by not having all that congestion for these pretty neat events, national events. So.
Thank you.